Hi, I'm Monica Flood, and I'd like to talk about meanness. I think we can all agree that meanness is a problem. Everybody has been affected by meanness in some way or another. There are mean people all over the world. So what can we do to stop it? The first thing we can do is by making kind choices for ourselves. So who gets to decide what you do? You and you alone. So we need to work together to be the kindest person that we can be. What do I mean by meanness? Meanness is something that is done on purpose to hurt somebody else. So it's a choice that we make to be mean, to inflict pain or cause pain for someone else. So what's the difference between on purpose and an accident? Well, an accident is something that you didn't intend to happen. It happened and it may cause pain or hurt somebody, but you didn't choose for it to cause pain. You didn't intend or want it to cause pain on somebody else. So let me give you an example. Let's pretend I have my friend Sheriff Monkey right here. And let's pretend that Sheriff Monkey and I were walking down the same sidewalk one day. And Sheriff Monkey was on one end and I was on the other end. And as we were walking towards each other, I wasn't watching where I was going, and I bumped into him and he fell down. Was that on purpose or an accident? It was an accident. I wasn't looking where I was going, and I accidentally bumped into him, and it may have caused him pain. He may have hurt himself. My responsibility, what I need to do, is to let him know that it was an accident. I need to use my words and to tell him that it was an accident. If I kept on walking, he may have thought that I was doing it on purpose. So I need to say, Mr. Monkey, I'm so sorry. I wasn't watching where I was going and I accidentally bumped into you. Do you forgive me? And he would probably say yes, because he knew I wasn't doing it on purpose and I didn't intend to hurt him. So when I'm talking about meanness, I'm talking about something that's done on purpose to hurt somebody else. And we see a lot of that in today's world. We see a lot of it when people make fun of one another, when they whisper to their friends something mean about somebody else, when they make judgments about other people and share those judgments with others online or verbally face to face. So I think this is a world where there's an awful lot of judgment, and that causes a lot of pain and hurt. So what can we do to stop it? We can be our best selves, to be as kind as we possibly can to one another. That starts by having all of us commit to being as kind as we possibly can, even if somebody is mean to us. And that's the tricky part, because that part is hard to do in reality. It's even hard for me to do. When somebody says something mean to me or does something that hurts my feelings, the first thing I want to do is to do the same thing back to them, to be mean back to them. That does not work. It doesn't work because it just keeps the meanness going. Um, a lot of times people will do things and we think they're meanness, but we don't know that if they're mean or not. Let's pretend that somebody pulled out in front of somebody in traffic. Maybe that person was having a bad day, was thinking about something else, um, wasn't paying attention. They didn't intentionally pull out in front of the car. And it was an accident. So if we give people the benefit of the doubt and assume that they weren't intentionally being mean on purpose, I think it helps us to forgive one another. I know it helps me because I know that I'm doing the best I can. And I think that most people would say that they're doing the best they can too. And that means that sometimes we're going to do things that hurt other people and they may not be intentional. We're not intentionally hurting somebody, but we do hurt them. So we need to work together to be as kind as possible, even when people hurt us. To be kind back to somebody who hurts us is something that we have to make a commitment to, and it takes an inner strength and it takes practice. When we react to people based on our feelings without thinking about things, that's when we can sometimes be mean to others. So one of the first things we need to do is to decide that meanness is a problem. It's a problem for everybody. It's a problem with the world. And we need to have a commitment that the only way that it's going to stop is by working together to be kind, to intentionally be kind to one another. So I have a classroom mission that I'd like to go over and just talk about some of the things that we need to think about and some of the things that we need to believe to help ourselves be kind to one another. One of the first things is that violence is everybody's problem. If somebody does something to hurt you and your family, I think we could all agree that we would want other people to care. And that means that we don't get used to the violence. It does happen a lot, but when we get used to something, we get immune to it. And we tend to not pay as close attention to it. And when we start doing that, that can be problematic. It's problematic because then we stop caring about when it happens to other people. So it's all of our problems. The other thing is that violence should not be accepted or tolerated. There is no excuse for it, including when we are feeling angry and fearful. Now, is it okay to be angry and fearful? Absolutely. Feelings are not good or bad or right or wrong. They just are. But being mean to somebody because I'm angry with them is not acceptable and not okay. The other point is that adults are here to help young people. When? When they cannot help themselves. So the first thing, I'm going to give you some points about things that you can do to try to stop meanness if people are mean to you. If you try those things and you don't succeed and the problem gets to be bigger than you and you're anxious and upset and you can't stop the problem, then it's okay to ask adults for help. The other thing is differences should be accepted. We're all different. We're all special. That's what makes life interesting and exciting. So if somebody is different than us, different does not mean bad. It means interesting. So to make fun of somebody because they act, look, or think differently than we do is wrong. People who are nonviolent are cool. Yes, I think a lot of times in the media and on television, on video games, they portray people who are violent as being cool. And we need to believe that people who are nonviolent are cool, not the people who are violent. Everybody can work together to reduce violence. So if your friend is saying something mean about somebody, you can tell them, hey, I think that's mean. Let's not talk about that. And that takes a very brave person to stand up to our friends. Sometimes people do little subtle things that make a big difference in how they treat others. You can get the message across to somebody else that you don't like them or that you don't, you think they're weird in very subtle ways. Let's pretend that your teacher tells you that you're going to be partners with a person in the class that isn't your favorite person. So if you were to fold your arms and turn your body away from that person and roll your eyes and sigh, what's the message that you're sending? The message you're sending is, I don't like that person and I don't want to be partners with them. Is that wrong? Yes. Here's why. Because nobody that's ever lived has been 100% liked by 100% of the people in the world, not even famous people. There are going to be people that don't like you in the world. That's all of us. And it gets tricky when we talk about people that are our favorites and people that are not our favorites. Why? Because that doesn't have anything to do with their personal worth. It just has to do with our preference, our personal likes and dislikes. And we have likes and dislikes about all kinds of stuff. We have favorite foods, we have favorite movies, we have favorite colors, we have favorite videos. And who gets to choose that? We do. It's just personal preference, personal choice. And my personal choices may be different than your personal choices. That's what makes us unique and original and interesting. And that's okay. But it gets very hard when we talk about people that are our favorites. And the most important thing to remember is something that a little fifth grader told me when I was teaching these lessons one time. She said that the secret is when you don't like somebody, don't let them know. Why? Because that's mean. We wouldn't like somebody to come up to us and say, I don't like you. And the thing is, a lot of the times when we don't like somebody, it's because we don't know them very well. And that's on us. It's very hard to not like somebody when you get close to them. So we're going to have likes and dislikes. It's just mean to go around saying that you don't like certain people and to exclude them and leave them out. That is meanness. If somebody asks you if they can play with you at recess or join you at recess, what should you say? Yes. Why? Because saying no is leaving somebody out and is mean. You can ask them to join you and your friends. The reason people ask to play with other people at recess is because they're feeling lonely. And we all know what that feeling feels like. And it's not a fun feeling to have. The next thing is we should spread the word that no one deserves to be teased, bullied, insulted, kicked, slapped, pushed, shoved, punched, or hurt in any way. And that includes people that are not our favorites. Maybe even people that we don't like very much. Even people that are mean to us, which that takes a lot of courage to stand up for somebody who was mean to you. But that's the only way that we can stop meanness, is by reaching out and trying to show kindness to everybody. We include people who are being left out, and we help people in trouble. So if you see somebody is being picked on or others are being mean to them, if you remain silent, if you do nothing, who are you helping? You are helping the mean person. And in some instances, we call that person a bully if it happens over and over again. The difference between a mean person and a bully is a bully picks on somebody or is mean to people day after day after day. And a mean person may just be mean to somebody once in a while. So if you are silent in a bullying situation or in a mean situation, when you see meanness, you are always helping the bully. In fact, the mean person wants you to be afraid of them, because that means they can keep doing what they're doing. Because if you speak up, they might have consequences for their actions. They might get punished, or people might notice and they might have to change. So remember that silence always helps meanness and keeps it going. So this is one of my favorite heroes. This is Dr. Martin Luther King. And he started in the 1950s and 60s. He was a promoter of kindness. When there was meanness and injustice in the world, he preached about being kind to the people that were being unjust to him and to other people of color. So they did extraordinary things to change the laws in our country. They used to have sit-ins where they would go to restaurants, and the restaurants would have a section of the restaurant for whites only and for blacks only. And they would go and sit in the section for whites only, and people would yell at them and say mean, hurtful things to them. They would throw things at them, and they would not do the same thing back. They were not mean back to these people. They just sat there to protest and to show that they thought the laws and the policies were wrong. So, in many ways, Dr. Martin Luther King is a great role model for how we should treat meanness. And one of his famous quotes is my favorite quote. He has a number of profound quotes, but one of the ones I like the most is, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that." And I think he would agree if I added, meanness cannot drive out meanness. Only kindness can do that. So let's pretend that this room is dark. So let's make the room dark. And if I wanted to make it light in here again, would I add more darkness? No, that's silly. That doesn't make any sense. If I added more darkness to a dark room, that would just make it darker. So what do I need to add to make it not dark in here? I need to add light. So let's see if that works. It worked, yes. So to get rid of the darkness, we add light. To get rid of the hate, we need to show love. To get rid of the meanness, we need to show kindness, even to the people that are being mean to us. And that can be very, very difficult sometimes. These are some things that are true about meanness. Mean acts hurt people's feelings. That's usually true. Mean acts hurt people's bodies. And sometimes they can hurt people's bodies and their feelings. And often your feelings take longer to heal than your body does. Mean acts can hurt people's property. What is your property? Your property is your stuff. So if somebody takes your stuff without permission, without asking if they can borrow it, that is meanness. Mean acts hurt more than just the victim. So if I did something to you on the playground, do you think your friends would feel sad and mad if I pushed you down on purpose? Yes. And what if you went home and you told your mom or dad about that thing? How would they feel? The same. So mean acts hurt the people you love, not just you, if you're a victim, and even the people watching, even if they don't know you. If I see somebody being mean to somebody else, it makes me feel sad. It makes me feel mad. It makes me feel aggravated, frustrated. So meanness is a no-win situation. Everybody loses when there's meanness around. Everybody has hurt feelings. And lastly, mean acts cause hurts that last a long time. If you can remember something mean that happened to you or somebody else when you were in kindergarten or preschool, years down the line. Often we remember those things. They don't go away quickly. So they cause hurts that stay with us and last a long time.